Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to this special PACTV presentation that is being brought to you live at 12 noon on Saturday, March 14th. Today's presentation is a response to the coronavirus, and we have a number of people who have volunteered to participate in this forum. Joining me in this first segment would be Kenneth Tavares, who is the chair of the Board of Selectmen, Matthew Muratori, who is a state representative for the town of Plymouth, also Michelle Pecoraro, who is the executive director for Plymouth 400, and also Dr. Gary Maestas, who is the superintendent of schools. We hope that during this forum that we can provide information to you that relates to the local response to the coronavirus. Many of you have been watching both national TV and regional TV at the state level, and we hope to provide information. There will be an opportunity to ask questions by contacting PACTV. I'd like to give a little bit of the history as to how this came about. Earlier this week, I did receive a call in my capacity as town moderator, and it came from the chair of the Board of Selectmen and the town manager, and we began to talk about the upcoming Plymouth town meeting, which is currently scheduled for 3 weeks from today. And yesterday at a meeting at Town Hall, we were joined by the superintendent, as well as the assistant town manager and the chair of the Board of Health, as we talked about planning for town meeting. As a result of that meeting, yesterday I issued what is called a notice of intent to declare recess and continuance of the annual town meeting. And what that means in lay terms is that at this time, I intend to postpone town meeting. It is not yet postponed. It will likely be postponed on or about April 3rd. And there's a process within state statute where the moderator can continue to do 30-day continuances if needed in order to avoid going through the process of setting a new warrant. For those of you who are familiar with town meeting, the Board of Selectmen set the warrant. Once the warrant has been posted and issued, then it would be the responsibility of the moderator to determine whether the town meeting would continue. For those of you who are watching who are town meeting members, we will continue to have a motion session a week from Wednesday. We will continue to have a preview a week from Thursday in order to provide you with further information from town meeting. There are also some changes in the open meeting law allowing for remote access. Town meeting members are not governed by the open meeting law when it comes to caucuses, and there would also be an opportunity to do such things as free conference call, and I'll be providing that information to you early next week if you choose to have a caucus. I'd like to begin now by welcoming Ken Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, and he's going to talk a little bit about the response on the town side. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you, Steve, and for the opportunity to be able to talk to the citizens of Plymouth today. I have a statement that sums up the action that the Board of Selectmen with the senior management of the town took yesterday. After meeting with the town's leadership team, we have made the decision to temporarily close the main branch library, the Manament Library, the Manament Youth Center, and Memorial Hall immediately. The Center for Active Living will also be closed immediately, although the Meals on Wheels program and medical transportation will continue for the time being. All these buildings were chosen primarily because they serve our most vulnerable populations or because there is a concern about exposure due to the high volume of visitors to the building at one time. The Harbor Master Shack and the Animal Shelter will also be closed to the public, although appointments can be made by calling these offices directly during business hours. Regarding meetings and public hearings held in public buildings, there are now new protocols in place in regard to scheduling, holding, and the attending of public meetings in order to promote social distancing and safe practices. And we hope that on Tuesday evening, the Board of Selectmen will be able to put into practice the new guidelines that have been given to us. In addition, the town is temporarily suspending all inspections or other activities where the employee is required to enter into a private residence or dwelling with the exception, well, the only exception will be new construction where the employee is not entering occupied space. This will include service requests for water turns on, cross connections that require the employee access indoors. This does not, of course, call or impact any public safety services. These decisions were difficult ones. As we understand, they will disrupt lives and operations. However, it is in the right decision for the overall safety and well-being of our residents, staff, program participants, and committees and board members. They were made after significant review and discussions regarding all the information available locally, statewide, nationally, and internationally. We will continue to consult on the latest data about this worldwide crisis so that we are prepared in the event we want to make service disruption decisions. I want to talk just for a minute or so directly to the community. And that is we all know we're celebrating and commemorating 400 years of the existence of this community. And it doesn't go without notice that 400 years ago, people settled this community and did it under extenuating circumstances with illness and disease. They had the courage, the fortitude, and the compassion to fight. I think that those issues, those points are still with us today. This is a town that has taken on many tough situations and always come through. Together as a community, we will not fail. We come all from good stock. We have been tested in the past, and I expect that with full cooperation and the preparation that everyone at this table is putting forth, that we will be stronger and better, for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was Kenneth Tavares. He's the chair of the Board of Selectmen. We do have questions coming in. We will take up those questions following the initial presentations from the panel participants. And at this time, we're delighted to have our superintendent, Dr. Gary Maestas. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you for having me, Steve. So I'm just grateful to be here. I think there's been a lot of information that we've been sharing out to the general educational community. I think it's great for the population of Plymouth to just hear what's happening in the school system. We've had a challenging 3 weeks here in the Plymouth Public Schools. We had, a week ago, we had a closure because we were taking a look at a possible case of the COVID-19 in our school system. We had one student that was being tested, and we're grateful that came back negative. And during that period of time while we were waiting, we did some sanitizing of all our buildings, which was very helpful for our community, and we got some positive response to that. And as the days have gone on, things have intensified as far as the response that our educational community has been asking for. I think the amount of phone calls and concern that we have from the general population has really has been higher than any time in my career. But again, I think, as Ken mentioned, we are a very strong town with very strong responses to situations, and I think the structures that we will collectively put in place will allow us to see a better day. And I'm really excited about the people that have come forward after our announcement that we're going to close school for 2 weeks, that people just want to help any way they can to offer lunches to students in different parts of our community, or just to do some educational components for kids that are at home. So it's just another example of why Plymouth is a special community to be able to rally when we need support. So we have a lot of things to do in the days to come. But again, right now we're in a wait-and-see holding pattern here across the Commonwealth, across the country, across the world, actually. So it's, what do we do as a community to try to make sense of it? And I think we'll give as much information as we can relative to the educational piece. But even that is very, very fluid. We did do a two-week suspension of education in the traditional setting in Plymouth, and we'll have to see how things go as the days go ahead. So that's where we are. It's been an unusual time for us.
Thank you, Dr. Gary Maestas. And again, we'll be taking questions for Dr. Maestas and the other members of the panel. We're going to go now to Michelle Pecoraro. She is the Executive Director for Plymouth 400. We know that tourism certainly is the #1 industry here in the town of Plymouth. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. I'm grateful to be here as well, and to be here with, with the leadership of the town and the state. So, Plymouth 400's opening ceremony, scheduled for April 24th, has been postponed. So we put that out yesterday. We made that decision with our president of our organization and vice president of our organization, and with Dusty Rhodes, who's the head of the State Commission and has been in a lot of state-level meetings, and we've been, of course, in a lot of meetings here. So what we've decided to do, for now, is to move elements of the opening ceremony to our next event, which happens in June 27th and 28th, which is our Maritime Festival. It's a salute to the voyage of the Mayflower, and we plan to have 5 wooden tall ships here in the harbor. So we have moved that elements of the opening ceremony to that weekend. And, with further information, we will continue to monitor that, and if we can do it, that event, then we will do that event. If we cannot, we will continue to move our opening to the next event. So that's our plan currently. And, my heart goes out to all the people who have made their plans to come here, and I know that they are relaxing some of the standards in the tourism industry, so that those deposits that people have made on their trips can be either moved to another time, or they can get a credit for that for another use. So hopefully people are encountering that kind of relief. And, I highly suggest that people actually keep their reservation and move it to another period. That would certainly help all of the businesses, et cetera, in Plymouth, so that they can look forward to having this commemoration in the future. So I think that if we all just focus on what we can do, and communicate with each other on a regular basis, and we will communicate out everything that's going on our website. So our website is plymouth400inc.org, and there's a red strip at the very top of the homepage where all COVID-19 updates will appear. So that's what people can do to find out about the 400th anniversary.
Thank you, Michelle, and she'll be joining us in our question and answer period. For those of you who are watching, you can contact PACTV in order to submit your questions. We're now joined by Representative Matthew Muratori. Many of you may know Matthew previously served in local Plymouth government, is now at the state level. Clearly, the town of Plymouth response is, in fact, interrelated to state government. And so welcome, Representative Muratori.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for putting this forum together for all of us. To reiterate what you're saying, too, I think it's important that we all keep communicating together and working together. And ironically, I mentioned before we got on air, 9 years ago this week, we were all together for a serious issue with Shishigahama, with the disaster over there with the tsunami. And this community pulls together like you don't see anywhere. And to have the leadership of Chairman Tavares and Superintendent Gary Maestas and the school committee and the town manager's office and the Board of Selectmen is fantastic to see, what they're doing and how they're working with us in state government as well. It's a time for bipartisan work, people working together across the aisles. The partisanship has to go away, both in the federal government as well as the state government, and I think we're starting to see that now. People just working together to get through this. We will get through this. This is, and we'll talk more about this later, but this is a virus that will pass. It will pass, and we will get through this like we've got through so many other things. But working together, being kind to one another, being respectful to one another, working together with people is how we're going to get through this. And I know, social distancing is becoming an issue throughout the country and throughout the world. And you worry about that a little bit, what's going to happen with that. But But I think we are strong here in Plymouth and the Commonwealth that we will get through this, and we'll be stronger after that.
Good. Thank you. So for those of you who are watching, you can do your questions to info@pactv.org. That's INFO, the @ PACTV.org. And we've already received a number of questions. I'll actually take the first question since it has to do with town meeting. And the question is, when is town meeting going to be scheduled? And as Dr. Maesty said earlier, we're in a very fluid situation. The statutory scheme that is available to us allows the moderator to continue for up to 30 days at a time. It's conceivable that the April 4th town meeting might be continued to May 2nd. If it's still necessary to continue, it might be continued to May 30th, and thereafter possibly June 29th. So we're in a fluid situation. We don't yet know, and at this time I have issued the notice of an intent to declare and recess and postpone town meeting. It's not yet actually been postponed, but there'll be further information coming to you very soon on Wednesday, March 25th at 7:30 a.m. There is the regularly scheduled motions meeting, which involves town officials that have been elected, as well as certain members of our staff. And then that very next night, on March 26th, Thursday evening at 7 p.m., there will be a town meeting preview, at which time we'll provide an update with respect to town meeting and possibly with respect to other responses in the town of Plymouth. That is currently scheduled for the Great Room. It may be rescheduled to PACTV, and we will certainly let you know. Again, you can send your questions to info@pactv.org. The first question would be one that I think, Selectman Tavares, you've already answered. I'm a senior and depend on Meals on Wheels. Will this service be available?
Yes, for the time being and hopefully for the duration, it is going to be continued. Circumstances will dictate whether we're able to deliver the meals, but it's our intent right now to do so.
Dr. Maestas, and then maybe Ken Tavares, will government meetings continue to take place? What are the plans of the school committee?
The school committee is planning to meet on Monday. I think the concern that we have is trying to keep the social distancing guidance that we have alive. So we're going to have to make adjustments to that. So it may be a committee meeting. We're live on TV, so we'll continue that. So we'll have limited audience, limited participation based on those numbers. So we'll probably have people that need to contribute to the meeting, come into the meeting and leave the meeting to try to keep the small group setting. The guidance is to try to keep groups 12 and under. So we'll really try to do that throughout our meetings. In the school department, we've minimized all gatherings in schools. So all plays and activities that were scheduled, we've canceled all those. Even meetings at my office, we'll keep those minimum size. We'll have meetings all week, but those will be small-sized and observe some of those precautionary measures.
Thank you. Selectman Tavares, you did indicate earlier that the Board of Selectmen are scheduled on Tuesday at 7. Do you know about any other meetings on the town side?
As of this hour, I do not know. Of course, the planning board meets. The agendas are going to be much smaller than what we're used to, especially as we work our way up through town meeting. There are new protocols that are in place. We're actually going through them. I have them with me right now. And as soon as we make decisions, this information will be given to the committee chairs so that they can conduct accordingly.
Thank you. One other question on the town side. If the town is closed, was the question, and I need services like the DPW, what do I do?
Well, the town hall is remaining open. They will be staffed. So anyone that has a problem should call the numbers that are currently used, before the onset of the virus. So just call the regular numbers. The main number for the town hall is 508-747-1620, and then it does give you the prompts as to how you can reach a department.
And you do have a town website that people can go to.
Yes, the town website will have, and I know the Board of Health is going to talk to it also, will have all of the up-to-date information. So if you go to the Plymouth site, it will direct you.
And one more question on the town side, since you have the floor. Will there be somebody at Town Hall responding to messages on an answering machine?
Well, the messages will still go in, to the system that we have in existence. So I think that we'll be able to cover it. The Board of Health will have a different protocol that I know they will be talking about as to how you can reach health questions.
Thank you. One of the questions we received has to do with the Conservation Commission, but really is applicable to all town boards and committees. And the question is, will the Conservation Commission be able to use live remote ability to conduct hearings? The governor has issued an order, and he has modified the open meeting law that allows for remote participation. So to the extent that participation is required by a board or committee, those necessary participants must be provided the same means of remote participation. So this is certainly something we'll be working on this week. Representative Muratori, I don't know if you have anything further to add with respect to
the
governor's order.
That's it exactly. It's laxing the open meeting laws and ability to do more meetings remote to keep people from actually coming in and gathering in groups. So there is important business that still has to happen in the town, particularly when it comes to zoning issues, zoning board issues, or planning board issues, or conservation, and there are deadlines that have to be met. So it's important that they're still able to somehow meet and make those decisions.
Again, if you have questions, you can go to info@pactv.org. Michelle, Plymouth 400, will the Mayflower still arrive at its currently scheduled date?
I think that all events are currently a bit up in the air until we have more information, and that would constitute an event. The Mayflowers movement, she may come back on that same date, but she may not be open. So these are things that Plymouth Plantation and the town of Plymouth and Plymouth 400 all have to grapple with. And really, it's just a matter of us listening to the advice of the CDC, of the state, and of the town, and taking that advice, to heart. So I would say that, we all hope that May 21st, the Mayflower sails back into this harbor. But we don't know that as of today.
Dr. Maestas, we have several questions with respect to the schools.
I bet.
The first question is, why is Plymouth closed and other schools are open?
Sure. Well, one of the things that we have been listening to is guidance from the Massachusetts Department of Public Health and also Department of Education. And yesterday we had conference calls with those two entities. And I've also had conference calls with superintendents from Braintree all the way to Plymouth and reaching over to Avon, Stoughton, Holbrook. And one of the things that we've all discovered over the last few days is the significant issues that school districts are having with student absenteeism and staff absenteeism, which is, we haven't really realized that as much here in Plymouth. We were seeing signs of it significantly, but we had some districts, coming from Boston. It seems the numbers were getting stronger and stronger, that more and more staff were calling in sick because they were determining if they were in a space where somebody was exposed to somebody that was, either self-quarantine or they actually were determined to have the coronavirus. So one of the things that we did collectively with superintendents from, like I said, from Braintree all the way to Plymouth and beyond, is we had a significant series of conference calls over the last 2-3 days. And I think a lot of people realized that the Metro West superintendents all decided to come together because of the activity, very similar to what I just described, was really impacting their school districts. And that was really becoming somewhat of a problem for even having school, because what happens is students need to be supervised. You end up putting them into large spaces. The large spaces become even more of a concern. So that was one of the factors that everyone looked at. On top of that, we have a number of students that have immune deficiency issues. We have parents that have immune deficiency issues, and those questions keep coming up. And I've taken numerous phone calls from parents that were already starting to keep their children home, asking for home education plans, asking us to, about the guidance that the Department of Education has provided to us about attendance. So the Department of Education has really minimized, or not minimized, but they've modified their attendance, requirements for students. So, parents are asking that question first and foremost: will my student be penalized if I keep them home? So we were starting to see those numbers creep up quite a bit throughout the district. So there are a number of reasons that went into it, but mainly to try to keep a level of social distancing from our families and help our families through this time. And I think the collective opinion from the superintendents was they were starting to see the same conditions throughout their school system. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I have never seen the activity that we've seen from communication, phone calls, emails about, I'm panicked. I can't. I live with my grandparents. I was in the same space with grandparents. So should I self-quarantine? I was at a basketball game where, the Celtics game. We had numerous people in that audience. Should I stay home? What should I do? And a lot of this is you have to self-regulate, self-mandate, and guide yourself through these situations. So we started seeing a huge uptick in that, and I think the school districts in the Metro West really saw that. We saw it the next day. I was highly critical of the Metro West superintendents banding together to do that until we're faced with it in our area and started listening to other superintendents. I made a comment to other superintendents like, we need to look at these things independently and look at where we are as communities. We don't have any confirmed cases or presumptive cases in Plymouth as of this minute, but there are so many people in our community that believe that they were in a space or a location where somebody was in that space that was, either self-quarantine or they were diagnosed. So it's been extremely challenging. But on the other side, I think it's our job and our position to create a sense of calm, provide guidance, but yet on the other side, try to give accurate, pertinent, and reliable information. So that's what we try to do over the last, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So it's been a challenging time, but I think the people we've put together have really assembled to make some good decisions. Some people don't like it. Some people really like it. So I live on the 51% rule. If 51% like a decision, you're doing okay. If it's 49, you got a problem.
Join the club.
Yeah.
So we're cable casting this live on March 14th. There'll also be some repeat cable cast. I did want to go to Representative Muratori because Dr. Maestas did talk about his interaction with the state, the Department of Education. And Matt, I know you're in touch with the governor and the lieutenant governor, and talk to us a little more about the state involvement and availability to the towns.
Yeah, and I just want to do a follow-up with Gary, if I may, with this. And we're in uncharted territory to see the Department of Secondary and Elementary Education, relax regulations, relax rules. To see the Department of Public Health relax regulations and rules. And yesterday, the federal government, CMS, the Center for Medicare Services, relaxing rules to allow for so many things to happen. Gary, one of the questions I keep getting a lot is with regard to the school year and these 2 weeks that are going to be off. Yeah. How does it affect the last day of school or not affect?
The last day of school will be the 185th day that we have on calendar, and that's a rule from the Department of Education. So right now, every school district in Massachusetts is required to go to school for 180 days. Every school district builds into the calendar 5 snow days. Every community in Massachusetts is not required to make up days after the 185th day. So that's the ruling that is in play. That's what we're working on. So that's the guidance that the Department of Education has provided, and that rule has never, ever been relaxed.
Right, yeah. So right now, I think you're scheduled to be out by, was it June 17th or June 18th? Yeah. So it'll be 5 days after that.
Additional, yeah. And keep in mind, there's a lot of comments out there about what are we going to do about spring break? What are we going to do about this? Are we going to take that away? You know, we have 2 weeks to worry about right now. Those are the next 2 weeks that we're focusing on.
It's so fluid. We have to take a day at a, you know, every day is something different, and we have to take it day by day, and we'll get to that point at some point now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next question: will FinCom continue scheduled meetings regarding their recommendation for town meeting? I can report that late last night I did have a phone conference with Kevin Canty, who is the chair of the Advisory and Finance Committee. He did indicate that as of now, some of their meetings have been postponed. I would refer you to the town website to check on that, as well as directly with the Finance Committee Secretary, Jeanette White, at Town Hall, since Town Hall is still going to be open. Second question, the Committee of Precinct Chairs is due to have their most important meeting of the year, the presentation meeting, with several different presenters. How are we to handle this circumstance if people elect to not attend? The town meeting members will not have all the information needed to vote at town meeting. Again, as we've heard earlier, we're in a fluid situation. You've heard from Dr. Maestas regarding how the school committee is handling it. They're trying to keep the number of people in the room to 12, and that presenters might be coming in separately. I do know that in the past, I think the Board of Selectmen at times have had a selectman call in to a meeting. Is that true? So it would be possible for some of the Committee of Precinct Chairs to call into a meeting. So these are things that I'll certainly be working closely with Alan Costello, the chair of the Committee of Precinct Chairs. He and I have talked a couple of times this week, and as recently as late last night, in preparation for this forum. So we'll continue to get information out to you, but there are ways in which we can still conduct business of the town if needed, and also be respectful to the need for social distancing. Representative Muratori.
On that line, Steve, too, the Secretary of State, under the governor's emergency order, Secretary of State now has the is now looking at local elections, and in our area we have a state Senate election coming up, and looking to move those elections and postpone those elections as well. So I think it's important for people to be vigilant and kind of look at that stuff. I know a lot of people have suspended their campaigns at this point, so I think you're going to see a lot of that. And under that as well, he will have the right to actually maybe postpone town meetings as well in order to do that. So I think we need to all kind of be vigilant on that.
Our questions are coming in. info@pactv.org. This is a live presentation on March 14th. It is about 12:30 in the afternoon. I'd like to go around as we're having questions and just have each of the participants just give us, I know it's going to be on the screen, but orally, how they would contact you. Dr. Maestas.
Yeah, the best way to contact the Plymouth School Department is dial 508-830-4300. We have a switchboard there, and the call will be directed to the individual department, specifically to the question. So we have that manned, and we'll have that central office will be open during this time. And I did meet with all my staff, office staff yesterday, and they are prepared to assist and do whatever we need to do. But we're going to try to keep as much information we can funneling through our website and through social media. We have different channels that we use: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, things of that nature. But our website is where every single letter that I write and that goes out to the community regarding the COVID-19 situation, every video that I've recorded to kind of share information, that's all pretty much the repository for where they're going to get information. So that is probably the easiest, fastest way to get information.
Michelle Pecoraro, Plymouth 400, how are they going to contact you?
Really, the best way to contact us is by email. We have an info@plymouth400inc.org, but my email is mpecoraro@plymouth400inc.org. So if you want to reach me directly, that's the best way to do it. We will probably have a skeletal staff for the next week or so until we know where this is all going. We will have someone there to answer phones, but really the best way, I think, is by email so that we can respond in a timely manner, whether we're inside or outside of the office.
Representative Muratori, your contact and the relevant state contact?
Sure. So for myself and my chief of staff, who's done a fantastic job, with this and other things, reach out to us at Matthew, mathew@mahouse.gov. Or on the state side, you have you can now call 211 that was activated yesterday that has information, and you can also go to mass.gov/2019 coronavirus that is giving you up-to-date information throughout the day. So you can actually go there as well.
Kenneth Tavares, Board of Selectmen.
Right now, the best way to get to the town government is directly dialing in 508-747-1620, because we are going to have people manning the phones, and this way we can directly get people to the area that they want to be. That could, possibly change in the next week or so. The site for the town is also up and running and has the latest information on the virus that we have in conjunction with the Board of Health. So there's up-to-date information on the town website also.
Thank you. Back to the schools. Will high school students be able to take AP exams in May? And the SATs are also coming up in May and June.
Yeah, I think that is one of those areas that's fluid. We rely on the AP organization, the College Board, to actually help to guide us through this time. Every single school in Massachusetts, we're asking the same things. It's about rescheduling, and that's really connected to even our state assessments. Our state assessments right now, our biggest concern is seniors that need assessments to graduate. So right now we're relying heavily on the different organizations that schedule these assessments to produce schedules as to when those assessments will be reestablished and those dates. But keep in mind that they are having to adjust significantly based on the states around the country that are in the same position that we are. So stay tuned for that information. As soon as we get any information relative to the SATs, the APs, and also the state assessments, MCAS, we will send that out, and those channels will do it as soon as we possibly get it. So that's something that we will definitely do.
Second,
if I may, I have my iPad just getting updates. We just got an update too for those folks that are looking for things to do because there's no sports activities. Well, guess what? The casinos are all closed now too. They're closing casinos for 2 weeks. So you're not going to be able to go to the casinos for 2 weeks.
Dr. Maestas,
yeah.
What can be done to help parents with child care needs while schools are closed, since so many parents both work? Yeah. And kind of an ancillary question, which I don't know that we can definitively help, but if employees, and I'm not sure if they're talking about town employees or school employees, are affected by the current school closures, will they be allowed to bring their children with them to work, or will accommodations be made for them to continue to work? I think in terms of the private sector, I'll comment a little bit, but yeah. Dr. Maestas.
Yeah, the first question relative to, could you repeat that first? I was focused on the second one.
What can be done to help parents with child care while schools are closed?
I think one of the things I heard yesterday was pretty encouraging, where students and college students that are home, that are being sent home from college, are putting ads up to do childcare for families. So I've seen a lot of that on Facebook, and people posting that if you need to do what you need to do and work, continually work, you can do that, to reach out to Facebook and so on. The YMCA has also, if you had children that, if you are in a situation where you have to go to work, you're in the healthcare fields, and you have a relationship with the YMCA, they are running childcare during the day. So, and that'll be at Camp Clark, that exists. The YMCA is emailing our families that do already attend the YMCA before and after school programs to let them know that model is going to exist. But again, that's for families that really have no other alternative, and they're mandated and they're essential employees to go in. Keep in mind that one of the biggest issues that we are starting to see, and I saw this 3 weeks ago, where a lot of our parents are being told to stay home. So there are some parents that are home, some that aren't. But I did also receive a call yesterday from a parent who was not necessarily looking for an answer from me. They wanted me to research through the town, through the state, if there is any financial assistance, because they have been told to not go to work and they are not able to receive a paycheck because they just can't go to work. They're actually at home looking for resources and anything we can do to help. So that wasn't necessarily a school department question. It was just reaching out to me, asking me if I knew of any resources out there.
And I think in terms of the second question about employees, if they're affected, will they be allowed to bring the children? Certainly, some of the pending legislation at the federal level, I believe, makes a distinction between the size of the employer and whether or not there are 500 or more employees. Certainly, an individual private sector employer is going to have to be in the position of deciding whether or not people can bring children to work. But related question to Representative Muratori. At the state level, can you tell us anything about what the governor or the state may be doing to ensure we have basic necessities such as food and gas?
That hasn't really come to light yet. I don't think people are really thinking about that because thinking that's really still going to happen. But there has been a command center that has been put together as of this morning. Secretary of Health and Human Services, Mary Lou Sutters, has been relieved of her day-to-day duties to actually focus just on this. The Assistant Secretary, Dan Sassay, is going to take over the day-to-day operations of the Health Department for the state, but she's going to concentrate just on this to look at things just like that and other things that will be coming up.
Second question, very similar, again at the state level. Would there be anything being done to provide financial assistance to families who do not currently have any sick, vacation pay, but are required to self-quarantine and not receive pay?
There is a couple of bills through the House that have been starting to circulate on that. Specifics, I don't know the specifics of them yet. We are not in session this week, so I don't think there'll be anything this week, but there is some discussion that's happening around that. And I believe on the federal level there's some discussion about that as well.
There is. Again, another question about the caucuses. I can certainly tell to those of you who are watching that I will continue after this presentation to be in communication with the chair of the precinct caucuses, precinct chairs, Alan Costello. Certainly, though, under our charter, any precinct could call a caucus for any reason. The chair could call it. And again, we have certainly the ability to do it remotely, including people talking on the phone through conferencecall.com. I will provide that information on Monday so that the precinct chairs will know how to set up a caucus now, if they wish to, without actually meeting physically in a room. We continue to receive questions from info@pactv.org, and we've received a few that relate to health issues, and we're going to be going to that in our second segment. So as we finish up this segment, I'd like to just go around the panel one more time. You've heard each other talking about some of the responses in Plymouth to the coronavirus. Selectman Tavares, people are going to continue to get updates, probably daily. How are they going to receive them?
We will use the website on the town website to give this information out. The latest information will be there. We know that this is done with a great deal of difficulty, but it's our intention to keep as much information, making it available. We also will be using social media to reach a wider audience. But again, if anyone has a question, please, give us a call. Let us know what that question is, because we don't want the town to run rampant with false information.
And Tuesday evening, because you're meeting, that's going to be live on PACTV, and people can watch for any updates that you might provide at that time.
Yes, I expect we'll have a great deal of information, to put out to the community on Tuesday evening. I've looked back at some of the information that we've already put out, and it's dated. As everyone on this panel knows, it's changing, by the hour. I am very comfortable with the team that's been put together. This is just a small representation of what's going on in the background. Police, fire, DPW are all intricately involved. We have nursing homes in the community that are dealing with situations, but we're open. Nothing is going to go unnoticed or unanswered.
Terrific. Representative Muratori?
Yeah, I think the same thing on the state level as well. Social media, the administration uses social media very well to give updates. Obviously through the channels of the local media, through the newspapers and TV stations. The governor is giving daily updates. So I think that will actually continue, along with Secretary Sutters will give daily updates as well. And again, as I indicated, the website, mass.gov/2019 coronavirus is the best way to get up-to-date information. It's changing on a hourly basis, and calling 211 as well. And one thing I do want to reiterate too for the townspeople as well is that I was out early this morning downtown. It was nice to see a lot of people out and about. And it's good to have people out and about and still, go to the shops, go to the restaurants. And, these people, you talk about jobs, people still need to work and we need to support them. If you don't feel comfortable going to a restaurant, order takeout. Do something, get gift cards or do something to help the economy keep going, because there's going to be a backlash from the economy on this at some point soon from the state level. The revenues just are not going to be there. So we need to continue to be engaged and be involved, but be cautious.
And we're cablecasting this live on Saturday, March 14th in the middle of the day. Michelle Pecoraro.
Yes.
He's talking about the economy. He's talking about
That's
tourism.
Right.
And you're probably in contact with the Plymouth Area Chamber of Commerce.
Absolutely.
And Destination of Plymouth. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with people who might be watching regarding Plymouth 400 and the local tourism?
Yes. Well, first I want to say that, we've made a lot of contingency plans over the last 5 or 6 years for Plymouth 400. We've assessed every situation. We've put together committees for transportation, for traffic. We've put together committees for public safety, and we've considered all sorts of scenarios, and this is not one that we ever considered.
Why not?
And I don't think it's one that anyone at this table has ever considered. So let's put into perspective the fact that we're dealing with something that's completely unknown to us. So I want to say that first, because I think that's an important, we're talking about getting back to normal, but we don't know what that is or when that is. What I would like to say, though, is to reiterate what Matt said, is this is going to hurt businesses that rely on people to walk through their front door. I have a son that works in the restaurant industry, and he doesn't know if he's going to have a job to pay his $1,000 rent next week. So we're all at risk. And so just to reiterate what Matt said, if you are healthy and you are not afraid to walk into a store and buy whatever it is that store is selling, especially a smaller mom and pop type of operation, then please do so. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, as Matt said, there are other ways you can support by buying gift cards for future use, or just getting takeout, at restaurants, but shops, etc. Call ahead. Some places will probably pick you out a birthday present and wrap it for you, so you can just come by and pick it up. There are ways of managing this that kind of counter any sort of hysteria. But I will say that, we do have a long road ahead of us, and we don't know what to expect. And so I would say support your local businesses to the best of your ability, and especially those that, that rely on the public to be present physically.
Steve, can I add something to that? I think it's important because some of us have been involved with this for 10 years, the planning. We will have a commemoration, and to change some of the descriptive language we've used, it will be a celebration.
Yeah.
Immediately after the decision was made to postpone, the arrangements were already starting to have the commemoration at another time. It will happen, and I think at that time we'll have a lot to have in common with the Pilgrims and what they went through, but it is going to happen.
I think just following up on what you're saying, Michelle and Representative Muratori, about the economic impact. I mean, again, we were sharing before this forum, I was at a restaurant last night with my wife and another couple, and if we're comfortable doing that, we need to get out and patronize local businesses. This morning, I went to my health club, and what I found was that local businesses are responding. I was told by the staff that they were there early this morning, cleaning the railings, doing everything they could to clean. And the whole time we were there, I and the people with me were cleaning equipment after we were using it, every time we used it, so that there was still social distancing. We were easily 6 feet apart. But again, you're trying to balance, because on the one hand, if you don't watch for your other health and stay in shape, then that could make you more susceptible. So it's going to be a balancing act for all of us in terms of what we make as a personal choice.
I go to the YMCA, and this morning I noticed that when I was there is that they have somebody just walking around with a bottle of spray and a wipe.
Yeah.
And that's all they're doing all day long, is going around doing that.
There's a high level of awareness in that industry.
They want to stay open, that's why.
Also, we noticed this morning on social media that the smaller businesses are getting very creative. Down at Whitehorse, the grocery store down there, is saying, you know, if you need something, you know, come right to the curb. We'll bring it out to you. You know, you can pay for it ahead of time. And there are several other businesses doing the same thing. So the creativity is taking place, and as I said, I think you know, we will be able to service people, but it's going to be in different ways that we're just not used to.
Yes, yes. Dr. Maestas, before we have you wind up, I got more questions for you.
Oh, boy.
First one is, several of the precinct caucuses were scheduled to meet at school venues. Are the schools going to be open for this if there's a meeting scheduled at a school?
Yeah, if the meeting is scheduled at a school, we'll do everything we can to try to continue with that. Again, we'll look at the space, we'll look at staff available. Typically, those caucus meetings are like in the evening during when we have school. So we're working through our support staff that actually maintain our buildings during the evenings. So we have to actually see how that all shapes up. But we'll be working with Town Hall to make sure that that information gets out and be able to continue the schedule of caucuses in locations that we can ensure that there'll be a location for them to meet. But we'll work with Town Hall on that.
Thank you. And go ahead.
I
Michelle?
just had one thing I wanted to say to our volunteers. And we have over 700 volunteers signed up. And what I want to say to them is that, you know, we are doing everything we can to make sure that you can be part of this. We can't do it without volunteers. These events are fairly large, and so I just want them to know, because many of them are retirees, that we are doing everything we can to make sure that these events come off and that we keep them safe as we are looking to the future. And as Ken said, you know, we will do something to commemorate this year. We just don't know when. And we're fortunate that we have events planned throughout the entire year, so that we already know that if this one isn't going to go, we're going to do this. So it will be happening, but our volunteers are the lifeblood of this, and we will make sure that whatever happens, that their health is considered.
Another question for Dr. Maestas, and I think we've answered it, but I'll ask it, and maybe we can just kind of respond in a little different way, and that is, what about parents who can't afford to hire babysitters, daycare for children out of school? And I believe earlier you talked about the YMCA, which I believe is the Old Colony YMCA is the name of the organization. Yeah,
that's the Old Colony YMCA, and that would be the best source right now. But I will tell our community today, when I get information from organizations that may come up with an option for parents, we will communicate that to the community at large so they can have some level of understanding of what's available to them. So that is something that we can be able to do and work on. Unfortunately, this is a significant drain on families when you are expected to be at home with your children and expected to be at work. And that is one thing that's very difficult, and I think that's where parents are concerned about school closing. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to try to minimize the amount of time that we put parents in this position. But until there's an answer, solution, until things get better, we're going to be, like I said at the beginning, it's going to be quite fluid. One of the things that we're doing, Steve, to try to help parents, we're running lunches 11 to 12 o'clock at Hedge Elementary. It's going to be grab and go. So if your family needs lunch, you can. Students need lunch. It's primarily for our students. They can go to school. They can walk in, grab a lunch, and they can go.
Is that for any student in the Plymouth Public Schools?
That is for any student in the Plymouth Public Schools. If they need something to eat, they're going to get fed.
And for people that may not know, where's the Hedge School?
Hedge School Elementary is in North Plymouth. If they want to find out exact specific directions, all they have to do is Google Hedge Elementary, and it's very quick and easy to get to. If they have any questions regarding other nutritional issues that they may be facing, they can call my office and we'll direct them very appropriately to do.
And what's the approximate cost for these lunches?
We actually get support from the state on lunches. So Hedge Elementary is 90% of the students in that building qualify for free or reduced lunch. Massachusetts has come up with guidelines that if your building is 50% over and free reduced, that they'll get a free lunch. So we're using every leverage that we have with the school nutritional programs that the state offers to actually offer lunches to our students. But what's also interesting is I have received numerous emails and phone calls on people that want to donate meals and foods to families, and also volunteers to be able to serve lunches to families. So we're having a meeting on Monday with the South Shore Community Action Council. We'll be able to maybe combine services to be able to continue to foster that goodwill and allow families to get some nutrition.
And we'll try to get out the information. The local churches actually provide meals on Mondays. Representative Muratori?
Yeah, I just want to do a follow-up with what the superintendent is talking about for childcare. For those that have children in child daycare centers, younger children, there is no directive from the Education Department to actually close them. They are still open, and they should be open, I believe. And so that shouldn't be a worry, because I know I've got a couple of calls about that. But I want to make a plea to the, to the college students that superintendent just brought up, and that are going to be home for the next couple of weeks, and to the high school students as well. Reach out to your neighbors, reach out to people you know, families you know. Try to help them out during this time so those people can go to work. I know everyone's trying to make $1 and all that, but if there's a way for service hours, or you can just, out of the goodness of your heart, help these neighbors out by watching their children while they go to work, while you're home from college, while you're home from high school, giving you something to do, and engage with these young kids for these families. I think we would all appreciate that as a community.
One of the things that we will look at doing, Matt, in the next few days is looking at some kind of developing a online form where students can sign up, and then
that'd be great. Maybe
align parents that need support with students that are willing to give support.
That would be great.
So I'll work on that this week so that we can try to get those things going.
Because a lot of students are looking for things to do. That's a great idea.
And the last thing that I'll say, Steve, is I had this idea this morning, and now I started working on it, is we're going to do virtual reading of books. So we have a license for every parent in the town of Plymouth, student in the town of Plymouth, where they can log in and have a access to a repository of books, online books. So we're going to do a schedule, and maybe some of you might want to come and read a book, but we'll stream it, we'll record it, and we'll send it out so parents can allow their kids to do those kind of activities. And we'll do that. We are meeting and working with our teachers union to look at how we offer some educational aspects. We have to get some guidance from the state as to what they're going to allow, what they're not going to allow, but we want to try to minimize those issues of loss of learning time.
Thank you. This completes our first hour of the special presentation of Plymouth's response to the coronavirus. We're going to be joined in the second segment, which is going to be focused on the health response in Plymouth. We're going to be hearing from Birgitta Kuhn, who is the chairwoman of the Plymouth Board of Health, also from Karen Keene, who is the director of public health. Once again, we'll be joined by Representative Matthew Muratori, who will be responding to questions related to the state response. And I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank the members of the panel, Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, Matthew Muratori, our Plymouth State Representative, and also Michelle Pecoraro from the Plymouth 400, and Dr. Gary Maestas, Superintendent of Plymouth Public Schools. We're going to take a short break for those of you that are watching the live cablecast on March 14th, about a 2-minute break, and we'll quickly come up with our next panel. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to this second half of our special PACTV presentation, which is Plymouth's response to the coronavirus. We are cablecasting this live on Saturday, March 14th. It's a little after the 1 o'clock hour. This particular segment is going to focus on the health concerns in the greater Plymouth community. And we're delighted to have people joining our panel. First, I'd like to welcome Brigitte Keene, and you are the chairwoman for the Plymouth Board of Health. Welcome. We also have Karen Keene, who I know well as a town meeting member, but also she is the Plymouth Director of Public Health. And once again, joining us, Representative Matthew Muratori, who is the state representative for the town of Plymouth. And I'd like to begin with the new members of our panel. Brigitte, welcome.
Thank you. This week, both Governor Baker and President Trump have called a state of emergency because of the coronavirus and the disease it causes, COVID-19. I'm Brigitte Keene, the chairwoman of the Plymouth Board of Health, and here with me, as we know, is Karen Keene. Together, we represent your local Board of Health. We've been working closely with the state and the town officials and departments to keep you safe from the disease COVID-19.
Today, we're going to give you tips on how to keep yourself and your family as safe as possible from COVID-19 and to help you keep calm because you are in charge and you are taking action. First, make a plan. Sit down with those in your household and write down what you will do if one of your family starts to feel sick. Include pets in your plan. 2, put the phone number of your doctor or urgent care center in a prominent place. 3, if someone feels sick with flu-like symptoms, call first and follow their instructions before you go in so that you can prepare for you. 4, decide which room in your house and which bathroom a person who feels sick will use, and then make sure to use it if someone is sick. 5, decide who will take care of a sick person. If you live alone, you may need help. 6, make a list of supplies you'll need if you can't shop, including a thermometer, tissues, disinfectant. And most important, be a good neighbor. Stop by and ask your neighbors to make a plan themselves and ask them if they need help.
Each person in Plymouth should be practicing social distancing. It's the most important way to keep the virus away from you. What that means is staying away from crowds. Keep your distance. In this time of coronavirus, this will not be considered rude. It's the right thing to do. Social distancing is the #1 way to keep this virus under control because coronavirus spreads from infected people coughing, sneezing, or touching things. Cover your coughs, wash your hands, don't touch your face. If we all do these things, we will all be safer and you will be prepared. Remember, most people who get sick will not need to be in the hospital. Some people, those over 60 with certain medical conditions, may get sicker and may take longer to recover. Remember, this is not a nor'easter that will blow over in a couple of days. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Why are we saying these things? Social distancing is so different from what we do with each other. We're a community, we come together, we love to be together, we love to shake hands and be neighborly, and we can still do these things. We're not saying don't do these things. What we're saying is take a pause, think about how you are going to interact so that we all can stay safe together, because this is all about community.
For the most updated town information, please go to the town webpage, www.plymouth-ma.gov, the town Facebook page, or call the state COVID-19 hotline, which is 211. You'll be taken to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health website for the latest tips on caring for yourself and your family. Keep tuned to our national channel to hear the latest from your state officials and your national officials.
So here you have the town website. It's easy enough to go to. Just Google Town of Plymouth, Mass, and up it comes. And what you'll see in front of you is a red banner. And this red banner is important. And let me see if I can get this. Click here, and you can read more. And here's the information on the outbreak of the coronavirus. This is the most up-to-date in your town, in your state, in coordination with the federal government. We're all coordinating. And what we'd like you to do, you can call the town anytime, you've heard that. And there's going to be a special recording for coronavirus. But what we'd really like you to do is call 211. The reason we want you to call 211 is the state is working with all of their various branches to have live operators for the residents in Massachusetts, or really anywhere, I don't think it discriminates, to call 211 for the latest. All your questions will be answered at 211. We got that directive this morning, and we're anticipating that it's up and running now, and it's running smoothly for you. If you don't find it running smoothly, call the town, and you'll also get instructions from the town. I'd like to show you another graphic today, which is really important. And if you could put up there we are. So here's a graphic. It's pretty easy to understand. And I want to direct your eyes to that line that talks about healthcare system capacity. So what you're seeing is basically the amount of viral cases, COVID-19, that we have in that big curve. We don't want that big curve in Plymouth. We actually don't want it anywhere in Massachusetts or in the United States, because that big curve goes over the line that says healthcare system capacity. So those are your resources. We want to flatten that curve. You've heard that many times on TV. Let's flatten that curve so that everyone who may get sick or may need to be tested, all the resources will be there, because when we stay below that line, we can meet the needs of everyone. So how are we staying below the line? We are staying below the line with our simple practices. When you come near everyone, understand that the best thing is not to shake hands. Maybe you can bat your eyelashes. I do that a lot. Sorry. But we will greet each other, and we'll stay home if we're sick. We won't go out if we're sick. If you have any suspicion when you're sick, stay home. Have your friends and your relatives and your family take care of you. What a good time to do that. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Call 211 if you have any more questions. This is how we're going to stay below the line. And I can't say often enough that understanding how you feel, understanding how your friends and your family feels, and staying home and away from others if you don't feel good is the best way that we will stay below the line, so that we have everything here to take care of those who may get ill. And I'm going to say one more time, elderly people, and I'm in that group, may get sicker with this virus and may take longer to get well. If you know of anyone that needs help, let's all be neighborly. Let's all work together. We're in this together. Karen, I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. Certainly, we've all heard, and by the way, I'm in that group, the elderly people, and I'm happy and proud to do that.
So glad I'm not.
Yes. And first of all, for those of you watching, please, your questions can be presented to our panel at info@pactv.org. And as you've heard in the introductions, we've got some great information to share. And it's so heartening, certainly, I think, as elected officials, that we have such resources right in this community and people who know what they're talking about, people who are accessible to us and who can provide us with very helpful information as we all try to wend our way through this difficult time and figure out what's best for us and for the community. Representative Muratori, in another life, I happen to know that you have been a nursing home administrator, sure, and you have a lot of experience, even now, outside of being a state representative, of involvement with the nursing homes. Now, we have multiple nursing homes in the town of Plymouth. Talk to us a little bit about nursing homes.
Sure. So, yeah, I have a consulting company with Patrick Flowery, Selectman Flowery, and Bob Eidenstein, and we consult with nursing homes and assisted livings. And we've been doing that an awful lot this week and keeping advised on what the advisories are from the state and from the national level, too, about visitors to nursing homes. Now, as you indicated, the nursing home residents, the elderly people, if you're in a nursing home, most likely you fit that category that you have some issues. So the government shutting down visitors to nursing homes, I think it was a wise move to do. And they put in some language there that talks about essential people only going in and end of life. So if you have somebody that's, on hospice or somebody may be actively passing away, you'll be able to be allowed in. But they're going to take your temperature and they're going to go through some series of 5 questions and all that. So I think this is a good move because those are the people that are vulnerable to this. Same with flu season. The flu season, the same thing happens with elderly people that are in nursing homes or assisted living. So the precautions that are being taken, some people think they're too drastic, but I think they're the right things to do at this point, having these just essential people actually going in. But we also need to talk about the supplies that they need in these facilities and hospitals as well. People shouldn't be buying masks for themselves. We need them for the healthcare professionals to care for all these people in hospitals and other healthcare settings as well. So we do need to take precautions for the elderly. And I think we are doing the right thing at this point.
One of the things I didn't mention in the first segment, but it kind of dovetails with what you're talking about, is because I also, in another life, work in the legal community does interface with nursing homes very closely. And when I got a call earlier this week, because I'm the guardian of an elder in a nursing home who was in hospice, she's now off, and I was told that up until 6 p.m. I can go and visit, and then there would be a question as to going forward. But there are certainly other ways to remotely access some of the people who are patients at the nursing facilities. And I just want to take a moment with respect to things that affect our elders, guardianships, conservatorships, healthcare proxies, power of attorney, estate planning. We're not shutting down the entire system. And so I've been receiving emails regarding the probate and family court, and on Monday it will be open. The Plymouth County Probate Court will be open for emergency needs. I've also been talking to some of the members of the bar who've been in contact with judges. We expect that at the district court level that there will also be the opportunity to handle emergency matters, including abuse protection orders and things of that nature to keep people safe. So there will be a scaling down of some of the services being offered, again, to have the social distancing. Civil juries, for the time being, are not going to be continuing, but courts will be open, just as town hall will be open, and we're going to be able to handle things on an emergency basis. Questions? info@pactv.org. I'd like to begin with the first question. These are the health-related questions for this segment, and I'm going to address it to Karen Keene, who's our Plymouth Director of Public Health. Karen, if someone were to test positive to the coronavirus, do you nurse yourself any differently than you would if you were nursing a normal flu virus?
The answer to that is you would nurse yourself pretty much the same that you would nurse yourself if you had the flu. You want to keep yourself as comfortable as possible. You can use Tylenol or other such items for any pain or discomfort that you're feeling. if it does happen, we talked a little bit about having a room set aside in your house for someone who may be sick. If it should happen that more than one person in your family might be sick at the same time, they can stay in the same room together. And it's just a matter of making sure that you're as comfortable as possible while you wait for the virus to pass.
Thank you. Brigitte, we have a question as to how local businesses should handle a sick situation if there were possibly a sick customer at their store. This person is saying they're healthy, but they were asked to leave the store because they posed the question about an obviously sick person coughing and touching a product. And specifically and the name, we've redacted the store manager said that he would not confront a sick customer because of possible underlying medical conditions, and he didn't want to face a lawsuit. I suppose I could comment briefly, but I don't believe profit over public safety is appropriate at this time. So it's kind of a question and a comment. And how would you respond as the chairwoman of the Board of Health?
Well, the first thing that I want to say is we are actually all in this together as a community. And in that way, we have to take care of each other. And in some respects, taking care of each other is asking questions politely. I can see that somebody would be nervous if they hear somebody cough or if somebody is sneezing and they're in the public. So how do you approach that situation? Because you may be rightfully very concerned. It may not actually be even more than stepping up to a person, keeping your 6 feet of distance, that's what they're showing, 6 feet of distance, and saying, are you feeling all right? Just ask, are you feeling all right? And if a person says, well, I think I might be coming down with a cold, you say, do you think maybe you should be staying at home, or is there anything I can do? These are sort of one-on-one. I don't think we should be concerned about lawsuits. I mean, you can go to the manager of the store and say, can you stay back from that person and see if they're feeling all right, and maybe help them out of the store if they say they're not. The best thing is kindness to each other, recognizing we're all in this situation together.
And just a comment, and without getting specific regarding legal litigation, I would agree with you that this particular time changes some of the ways in which we respond. Yesterday, when I was talking to town council, and there were questions about whether or not this is a public safety emergency, because the statute related to changing town meeting by doing moderator continuances deals with a necessity that could involve public safety. And one of the other people in the room said, well, is this really public safety? Well, it is public safety when there's an emergency. So too, I think when we look at the legal analysis, there's going to be some awareness, certainly by the courts, that we have this coronavirus, that we need to respond. People may need continuances. I've got elder clients that may want to shelter in place and may not want to go to court on a day when they're supposed to be there. And I've already got one case next Wednesday where I was thinking this morning, I'm going to file a motion on Monday because they're both, I'm not quite sure their age, they're older than me, in their 70s at least, and I know that they're not going to want to go to court for a hearing on Wednesday. And so as their attorney, I'm going to do what I know to be appropriate given the coronavirus and the way in which we're responding to that. For questions, info@pactv.org. Representative Muratori.
Interrupt for just
yes,
a moment.
Brigitte.
I'm so sorry. I just wanted to follow up a little bit on what we've been talking about and ask, I have a website up here. Would you consider putting it up on the screen for just a moment? It's the same. There you go. I just wanted to say that both Karen Keene and I, who together are your local Board of Health, you're going to see on every single directive from the state, LBOH. That means Local Board of Health. What does that mean in Plymouth? That means the Department of Public Health working with the Board of Health. We are joined at the hip to bring you the latest in how to care for yourself and your family. But the picture here, what you're seeing, is your local hospital. We are coordinated and in touch with our local hospital officials almost every few hours right now. We are in touch. And what you'll see is the monitoring for COVID, they have the same messages here, but you'll also see that they have visitation that's very similar to what we've talked about with the nursing homes. Visitation. I just wanted to make sure that you understand that the town officials, your local Board of Health, LBOH, and the hospital are coordinating our efforts across multiple services in the town of Plymouth.
And Brigitta, that's a good point to make. People aren't aware, it was said in the early presentation, of what goes on behind the scenes. Early this week, I did have a direct conversation with an administrator at the hospital, the local Beth Israel Hospital here in Plymouth, and she assured me as to what they had planned. And coincidentally, the doctor who's the chief medical officer dealing with the coronavirus response was in the room, and I had a chance to talk to this person. And we talked a little bit about today's forum and the ways in which they'd participate. And they reminded me that we in the community, and certainly as the local hospital, they take their direction from the Department of Public Health. That it's the Department of Public Health at the state level and not the local hospital that is directing the response to this virus. Representative Matthew Muratori at the state level.
One is on that line, and you talked, Karen, about people that have flu-like symptoms. This morning, one of the guidance that the governor and Secretary of Health and Human Services gave is for Mass Health residents. And anybody who's now on Mass Health, if they have any symptoms, they can actually do telehealth. So the physicians will now be able to talk to the patients, their patients, just on the phone from the comfort of their own home. And make a determination what their next course is to be. They will not have to go to the hospital. They will not have to go see the doctor, and the physicians will be paid for that consultation, just as they would if somebody came into the doctor's office. And we would hope that we can do more of that, so we don't overwhelm the hospitals and the doctor's office by doing more telehealth. I wish in this country, as an editorial, we started this 10 years ago, but it's nice to see we're doing it now, and maybe that'll become more of a habit in this state.
One of the questions, again, go to info@pactv.org. We're getting lots of questions in on our health segment. Next question, possibly to Representative Muratori, do you at the state level know what is being done to get tests to our doctors and hospitals and possibly our local delegation? You might be able to chime in.
Sure. So, and actually, it's coming out of the federal level as well. But I think we probably all saw yesterday that on the federal level, they're going to be allowing for more testing through drive-through testing. Right. That's going to be happening at the local CVS and the Walgreens and the Walmarts and the Targets. That you could just drive through and get a test if you need to do that. So I think you're going to see more of that testing that's going to be happening. And I think that's probably a good thing for for the folks to have that, to give them some comfort level.
Yeah, I'd love to jump in on that too. We've been very fortunate here in Massachusetts, where our state testing labs can now take over. In the past, you've been seeing something presumptive. Using that word, we don't need to be presumptive anymore. What that meant is that all of our tests had to be overread by the federal government at the CDC. Now that our state labs are being allowed to actually give us a definitive answer, we don't have to go to the federal government. It makes the turnaround time much more, it's quicker, a lot quicker for people. And it allows us to work a little bit more independently from the federal government for testing results.
And one more thing that happened this morning, too, right before we got on the air.
Again, on March 14th.
Yeah, right before we got on the air this morning, the governor has also allowed that private lab companies, and there are a number of private lab companies now that are doing the testing, will be able to do the testing on their own. So they don't have to go through the state now to get those. They'll need to send the results to them, but they'll be able to get the results a lot quicker through their own local labs.
So the next question really is right back to you on this. What if my doctor doesn't have the COVID-19 test? Who do I call? Do I go to the hospital?
No.
No.
Please do not go to the hospital.
Okay.
If your doctor does not have the test, we're going to be utilizing the drive-through facilities. I would like to also add, as far as the drive-through facilities, when you go to that facility, you will still be asked several qualifying questions. I don't want anyone to think that it's an automatic test given. You're still going to have to meet some qualifying questions, and then the decision will be made of whether you're going to proceed and actually be given the test. So I just wanted to make sure that people were clear about that as well.
Next question. Should my elderly mother take her temperature every day? Anyone care to respond? That we're not doctors, but...
Yeah, well, I've worked in the healthcare profession for, I'm not even going to say how many decades now, giving direct clinical care, so I feel very comfortable. No. Your mother should only take her temperature if she doesn't feel well. And she knows what it feels like to have a fever. You get achy and you just don't feel like yourself. No.
We've heard we should take a deep breath for 10 seconds each day to check our lung health. Would you recommend this? Again, anyone care to respond?
That's actually probably good self-care anyway. If you want to do that. What this refers to is out on the web right now, and we're calling this Dr. Google. There's a lot of stuff on Dr. Google, and you have to be somewhat careful. Holding your breath for 10 seconds and seeing how you feel isn't going to hurt you. It might not give you a whole lot of information, but what it's referring to is that the coronavirus, when it makes you sick with COVID-19, it enters the cells in your lungs. So it's your lungs that are going to be affected, and they're going to be affected to the point where they will give you a fever. Mm-hmm. And so if your lungs are affected, you may not be able to hold your breath for 10 seconds. But I want to tell you, you should probably start practicing that now, because if you can't hold your breath for 10 seconds when you're well, you will definitely be misdiagnosing yourself by doing that.
Mm-hmm. Next question, again, go to info@pactv.org. That's INFO, the @ at PACTV.org. Next question, if I'm infected, how many days will it take to show symptoms, and how do I get tested if I exhibit the symptoms? I think we've already answered the question by getting tested, but if I'm infected, how many days will it take to show symptoms?
Do you want to answer?
It's 14-day period for showing symptoms. So one other thing, if I could add, Steve, I think is important for people to know. There's a lot of, as Brigitta said, Dr. Google. There's also a lot of, I've heard so-and-so has coronavirus. I've heard my neighbor next door has coronavirus. There's a very specific path that this is taking, and I'd like to share that with people so they understand. When you are ill and you believe you are ill enough to warrant a phone call to your doctor, he'll go through some qualifying questions to find out if you should indeed be tested or not. If you are indeed tested for the coronavirus, it goes to what's called a MAVEN database, which is a database for the state of Massachusetts, which says this person is being tested currently for the coronavirus. So we at the Department of Public Health are alerted to the fact that we would have a case for someone who might be having the coronavirus. Once that person is tested and those test results come back, the status in the MAVEN database is changed. So currently, there are no cases in the town of Plymouth, which is a good thing. I want everyone to be sure, though, that if cases do come up, they are going through a specific process and procedure that we will be notified about at the Department of Public Health.
I'm wondering if I could add something to it, because Karen is so absolutely right. People are aware and people are concerned. And if you start to feel sick, please do not rush to your hospital, because they will be overwhelmed and you will not actually be in line for a very long time, and exposure to others is what you want to prevent. We don't want to overwhelm our hospital. One thing we have to remember is our hospital is also taking care of their regular business. People coming in with heart attacks, people coming in with strokes. They have to keep their regular business going. They're not going to stop taking care of the public in the regular health issues. This is in addition, it's something new and it's something different, and that's why we're all preparing. But it's also important to recognize, call first. Wherever you're going to are comfortable going, your primary care physician, your urgent care center, the hospital itself, in the emergency room, I would really kind of say, please don't call them. But they will ask you questions, and those questions are very important because it's the answers that you give to those questions that will bring you down the path of whether or not you will get tested. Not everybody who thinks they're sick will get tested. The state has to make that, it's not just the state now, locally we can make that determination. We can ask at all the testing locations. We all know those questions. Don't be disappointed if they say you don't fit the criteria to be tested. Be happy about that. Nurse your flu, get over your cold, stay away from people because they won't know the difference out there between your coughing from one thing or another. Don't be disappointed. We're taken care of. If you get worse, go back. Go through it again.
And a couple of the questions, if I may, that are going to be asked is, have you traveled in the last month or so? Or have you been in close contact with somebody that actually has it? And so I think we all need to start asking ourselves those questions first and to go exactly what you're saying. If not, then maybe it is a cold or maybe it is a flu. And
seasonal allergies.
Yeah, seasonal allergies, and that's coming up now too. That's happening now. Yeah.
You're watching a special presentation from PACTV, Plymouth's response to the coronavirus. I'd like to thank the PACTV organization. We're a little more than halfway through this second presentation. I'm going to go around again and reintroduce our panel and get the contact information. But you should know that PACTV and the officials who participated today pulled this together in about 24 hours. I'd like to thank everybody who has been participating and for the great support from our local cable company. And we will continue to provide you with information well beyond this presentation. My name is Steve Triffletti. I'm Plymouth Town Moderator. For any information you received from me during this presentation, if you have further questions, you can call me at 508-746-1464. You can also email me at fst@plymouth.law.com. We're also joined by the chairwoman of the Plymouth Board of Health. It is Brigitta Keene. And again, what contact information for you or for the sites that you're to which you've been referring, what would you like to provide to our audience?
Sure. Let me start with myself. You can email me directly, and that's BOH for Board of Health .chairtalk@gmail.com. And then as far as websites are concerned, please go to your town website and click on the red banner. You can also go to the hospital, BID Plymouth, their website, and click on the red banner. These will take you to the same websites because we're working with the state in order to keep you up to date. And please call 211 if you have any questions and you want to talk to a live operator. Additionally, if you wouldn't mind, Steve, I'd like to bring up this website here onto the screen, if we could do that. All right. So what you're seeing in front of you is actually the state website. And I'm going to go click it back. Let's see how interactive we are here and how good I am. So let's go. There we go. This is what the town website, the hospital website will bring to you. Information on the outbreak of coronavirus disease 2019, which is COVID-19. This is the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. You see it right here, the Department of Public Health. And here's the overview and the table of contents. This is available to everyone. And when you go to prevention and treatment, if you want to go there, What you're going to see is how to prevent it, what to do, what the latest guidance is. This is, if you're good at computers, or even if you're not good at computers, if we're all kind of staying home together, maybe there's someone in your household that is good at computers. You can read about this, and it's up to date. Here's the number of cases that we have, the number of cases in Massachusetts. I'm not going to go through all of this except to show you as of right now, we have 123 cases. When you say confirmed and presumptive, they are exactly the same thing. The presumptive have not been overread by the CDC. They're presumed to be positive by our state labs. I'm hopeful this is helpful.
The live cablecast is on March 14th. We are after the 1 o'clock hour. Karen Keene, you're our Director of Public Health. What is your contact?
You can contact myself at kkeene@townhall.plymouth.ma.us. You can also go to the town's website, which is plymouth-ma.gov. Under the department heading, you can click on Public Health, and that will take you to the Public Health website. I would also like to say that we have a very, very busy Department of Public Health currently. We have 4.5 people that work in that department. Feel free to continue to call us. We're there for you. We're there for the residents and for visitors of the town of Plymouth. But please be patient if you have to leave a message. We will get back to you as soon as we can. But you may not be able to talk to someone immediately. You may get a voicemail. Please leave your name, number, and your message, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. We have been getting back to people within that same day, and we will continue to do so. But we do thank you for your patience. We're a busy office, and we're working very hard to meet all of the requests that the residents have.
Thank you, Karen Keene, the Plymouth Director of Public Health. Your questions for today for the live contact info@pactv.org. We're going back to Representative Muratori. We have a couple of questions for you, Matthew, but before we do that, your contact information.
Sure. You can reach myself and my Chief of Staff, Betty DeBenedictis, at Matthew with 1T. .muratori@mahouse.gov, and to reiterate the Mass Department of Public Health website, mass.gov/2019 coronavirus for the up-to-date information, and again, 211.
Our questions are coming in at info@pactv.org. This is to you, Representative Muratori. Since the economic well-being is a social determinant of our health, you had an earlier suggestion that now out-of-school university and high school students provide free child care service to families, but that doesn't fully square with their own financial needs and burdens. I don't know if you have any comment about that. I think maybe
Sure.
It was also Dr. Maestas referring to that.
Yeah, sure. So what the suggestion I was giving is because we have college students that are home now. And, of course, if they're working and they can't do it, fine. But there are a lot of college students that are home unexpectedly. There are high school students that are home unexpectedly. And they're not planning on working. They weren't planning on working. You have 13, 14, 15-year-olds that actually can't work. And if there's an opportunity that they can help out their neighbors, great. If there's a financial burden, but if families are willing to help pay for these folks to help babysit, that's great too. It was only a suggestion to help fill a time for this population of young adults or young children that are actually available to help out.
Second question to you: is this public health emergency a sufficient cause for utilizing the state's rainy day fund to reimburse families for paid child care services and to address loss of income? Service is otherwise an insufficient and privileged response.
Yeah, I think fortunately we've had a healthy revenues coming in the last few years in the state budget, and we've been able to put away over $3 billion in the state rainy day fund. And I do believe these may be some ideal ways to help with that. As I indicated, our revenues for the state coffers, as you know, we have a $43 billion budget, is actually on track. We're actually ahead of the revenue projections. The concern is going to be now, I believe the April numbers that will come in, that we'll see for March, that will come in early April, will be on track with the revenue for the state. But I believe the problem is going to be in May and June. The numbers will drop dramatically, and we will tap in is my presumption, into the rainy day fund to help people in so many different ways that we're going to need to, that we can't even presume to understand what those are right now.
This has been an interactive presentation, both certainly with the Board of Health putting up websites and graphics, also your ability as an audience to contact us through info@pactv.org. It's not going to end today. This is still evolving. We will continue to give you information. We've talked about the website. We will be having another cable presentation. Certainly one is already scheduled for March 26th, Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. It is scheduled as a preview for our upcoming town meeting, but we'll also update you. We have more questions on the health side. Next question. Should my child wear a face mask?
I can answer that.
No.
Your child should only wear a face mask if that child is instructed by their physician because they have contracted coronavirus COVID-19 disease, which is COVID-19, and they are sick. The only reason for that child to wear the face mask is to protect others in the household from contracting COVID-19. It's difficult for a child to wear a face mask, and they often don't fit a child. And if you know a child, they won't keep it on for very long because it's uncomfortable. That's why a physician's prescription for a face mask, i.e. we recommend, this doctor recommends that the child wear a face mask, I would think that would be few and far between. As you know, let me finish, this is that children are not getting sick in the same way that adults are getting sick. Aren't we all very happy about that?
Next question. Should we wear gloves to protect ourselves?
Yes, you certainly could. Gloves are always a protection, especially if you're dealing with someone who may be sick in your household. It's a way to protect yourself. It's a way to keep germs from spreading. I think it's important for restaurants to be diligent in that as well. And we at the Department of Public Health will be working with, that's one of the things that we also do at the Department of Public Health is we license all the food establishments in the town. And we're working with the restaurant groups to be diligent about wearing gloves, but also with hand washing. They have signs that they're required to have in their bathrooms that say, please wash your hands before returning to work for their employees. But we are also asking them to put additional signage in their bathrooms, encouraging people to wash their hands that are just there for using the restaurant. So I think it's a group effort to try to keep everyone safe and healthy.
Where do we get information for home health aides who may need to go to elderly people?
Well, you can Google home health companies in Plymouth, and you'll find the ones that are in the area. There are multiple home health companies that are out there in this area. I'd say at least a dozen to 2 dozen just in this area alone. And if you think you need help with somebody, I would obviously recommend you contact some of the reputable ones that are out there and see what they have for services that can actually help you. Some do cover through Medicare or Mass Health. Some are just strictly private. So,
we had that earlier question about the store owner and the person coughing. One more question we have now has to do with employers that have sick staff, and how does that interface with the HIPAA law and HIPAA regulations? If anybody would like to comment as to that.
Sure. Understanding that somebody is sick has to do does not violate HIPAA, in that if you see somebody coughing and sneezing and you think they might be sick and you say, oh my gosh, I think you're sick, that's not a HIPAA violation. What we're talking about with HIPAA is personal protected information, and personal protected information has to do with those sorts of things such as address, social security number, whether or not you have an underlying disease or condition, which actually brings us to probably the nitty and gritty of this question. that those that are positive with coronavirus and their contacts will be contacted, but they will be contacted in a way that's HIPAA compliant. So HIPAA compliance is worked into the way we surveil people who are positive, the way we test people in order to determine whether or not they're positive, and the way we interact with the community. Now, if somebody is positive and then tells everyone around them, that is their own personal choice to do that.
Steve,
Representative Muratori.
Yeah, if I may. So I just received some more information. As I stated earlier, Secretary Sutters has now been named the leader of the Coronavirus Command Center, and her other duties are going away to Dan Say. Part of what her role will be in the command center will be on the capacity and distribution of testing as well. So she's going to have full control of that, so that, as you were all talking about earlier, we're making sure that the tests that are available are getting to the right people. So more information will be coming out of that command center.
That's wonderful. If I may, before we wrap up for today, I'd like to just show one more part of the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. And I also want to say that Massachusetts Department of Public Health and Public Safety have come together to put on 211 and all of the answers to your questions. But let's go. The reason I wanted to go to this webpage, and it starts again, you can go to the town webpage, click on the banner, and it will take you to all of the pages here on the Massachusetts Department of Public Health. So this is a part of the information on the outbreak. Here is what's important, I believe, and you might want to know this table of contents. For clinicians, for local boards of health, for lab professionals, for hospitals, for long-term care facilities, for emergency responders and law enforcement, for colleges and universities, for elementary and secondary schools, for early education and child care providers, for executive branch employees. This will give you the latest in the laws and the regulations and the care under all of these banners that the Massachusetts Department of Public Health and Emergency Preparedness is bringing you through the state.
Thank you. And the last question I'm just going to comment on. This presentation began as a result of a response to the fact that we in Plymouth have a Plymouth Town Meeting scheduled for 3 weeks from today. And with the governor's order regarding gatherings being under 250 people, we have 135 elected town meeting members. The last question observes the fact that we also have to do our business. We have a budget of over $250 million being proposed. There are another proposed appropriations of $100 million in articles. And the caller said, I'm confused. Well, the situation is, it's fluid, it's changing. And yesterday I did issue this notice of intent to declare a recess and continuance of the annual town meeting. You'll be getting more information between now and April 4th, both on the website, both directly from the office of the town moderator, and there will be a motions meeting on March 26th. We'll have more deliberation about where we're going in the town of Plymouth, and you'll be previewed that on March 27th. I want to take this opportunity to thank the panel once again, Brigitta Keene, who is the chairwoman of the Plymouth Board of Health, Karen Keene, the director of the Public Health in Plymouth, Representative Matthew Muratori, our Plymouth State Representative. I am Steve Triffletti. I'm your Plymouth Town Moderator. Thank you for joining us, and good day.